Hey guys, so I'm just gonna do a quick tutorial on how I basically did my latest, fashion film editing. Um, I know it was like straight up black and white, but there was also a little bit of variation to that. It wasn't just, you just bump down the saturation. There was a little bit of work with the exposure and the contrast, so we just did a little bit of that work. And today we're gonna look at that. So what I did, the first thing is really to lower the temperature, which we kept for this negative 18.2, and then we lower the exposure as well as highlights, and we bump up the contrast because we really wanted to give it that edgy look. So, and then with the whites, I usually see with the particular scene and the lighting in it. Sometimes I increase it and sometimes I decrease it. With the blacks, I increase them every time because I wanted to give it a little bit of a faded look and also increase the faded film. What I do, the other thing I do is I sharpen the image a little bit, the particular scene, lower the saturation obviously to give it that black and white effect, and bump up the vibrance just to get more of those shadows showing. And once again, I always try to make the contrast not too much so that it doesn't actually like make everything in the scene seem black. I try to do it enough so that there's enough contrast, but it doesn't look all black and you can't really actually see the clothing itself. Plus, there's a lot of black and white in this, so it's a really great contrast for everything. And that's why this film has this super edgy look. And we put this really nice, cool rock music behind it. As you can see, now we're going to the creative aspect of Premiere Pro. So basically, here is where we actually do curves. And with curves, I particularly work with this, basically I don't work with the different colors since this is black and white. It's not going to make much of a difference. But what I try to do is here I'm trying to lower the contrast a little bit. And that's basically what I do with every one of these scenes. I just repeat the same process again where I lower the temperature, lower the exposure, increase the contrast, and try to see what works best because the lighting was at different locations. So the same settings, I can't give an exact number because it might not work with one scene, it might work with another. So that's what we're doing here. And as you can see, I'm trying to work out what works best for the exposure. I always try to, put in the blacks, and they should remain really high, and it really just helps. And I felt like the cool tones were really helpful in enhancing the colors of this film, as well as vibrance. So I did see a difference when I put, a lot of cool tones into the film. And also, you can sharpen the film, and it just gives it a nice edgy look, and it's very crisp too, right? So if something is a little out of focus, just a tiny bit, you can always put it in a little in focus. And obviously, as you can see, the vibrance definitely makes a difference. It makes the lip color look darker, and it just gives that general contrasted, edgy look. And that should cover it up. And then we go back to the curves, and we do the same process for essentially the whole, every little frame, every little scene of this film. So that's why it takes such a long time to actually do this. And the other thing I do with this is, even though it's black and white, I still wanted the makeup to show. And I still wanted it to look very, edgy as well. And I didn't want to make it look too contrasted that you couldn't really see the cheekbones or whatnot. So essentially what I tried to do was I try to bump up a little bit of the whites and the highlights through this curve, and this essentially helps with really just giving it that nice makeup look, and that edgy type of look.